Good afternoon. This work is a collaboration between researchers from the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, Mexico, and the Universidad of Sevilla, Spain. We also appreciate the collaboration of the Center for Industrial Engineering and Development, CIDESI, in particular Dr. Alexis Cruz. Charged fluids are systems that present significant challenges in research due to the electrical interactions between their components. In this case, we are interested in the study of particle suspensions. Current research in this area focuses on understanding the manipulation of microparticles as well as the associated phenomena in these systems. The so-called electrokinetic phenomena present in suspensions are of interest in technological industries and in medicine, in particular in microfluidics. In this report, we briefly present the theory we have developed to understand the associated electrokinetic phenomena, particularly the electro-rotation of uncharged conductive microparticles. We focus this presentation on showing that these results can be useful for determining the electrical and physical characteristics of microparticles, such as the electrical double layer. In this sense, electro-rotation can be considered a useful technique for the characterization of inert microparticles as well as bacteria and cells, such as blood cells. Formulation or theory. The manipulation of microparticles in an aqueous suspension is carried out by means of electric fields generated by electrodes supplied with AC voltages. In particular, in electro-rotation, the electrodes are supplied with AC voltages with a phase shift of 90 degrees between the electrodes, as shown in the device in Figure 8. These electrodes generate a rotating electric field that rotates counterclockwise. This electric field produces two relevant effects. First, it induces an electric dipole in the microparticle which, when interacting with the electric field, produces an electric torque on the microparticle. Second, because the microparticles are immersed in an electrolytic solution, an electrical double layer is formed around the microparticles. When this charge interacts with the electric field, the charge in the double layer moves, generating a flow called electroosmotic flow, which also exerts a torque on the microparticles. In this way, the angular velocity of the microparticles is described by these two effects, as is expressed in equation 4. The remaining equations describe the theoretical framework that we have developed to understand the electro-rotation phenomenon. Equation 5 allows us to determine the contribution to the angular velocity of the microparticles based on the polarizabilities A and B, which are obtained by solving the Laplace equation. Equation 6, meanwhile, allows us to determine the contribution to the angular velocity due to the electroosmotic flow, for which we solve the Navier-Stokes equation. Simulation. Based on the theory described above, we present numerical results obtained using COMSOL multiphysics for different types of metallic nanorod microparticles. In figures 2 to 6, we show the numerical results for nanorods with different ratios of semi-axis length to cylindrical radius. These results show the so-called rotation spectra, which arise from both the electrical effect associated with the induced dipole and the electroosmotic flow around the microparticle. The bell-shaped spectra correspond to the electrorotation response. Figure 7 shows the electrorotation spectra for a big concave discoid, considering both the electrophoretic DEP contribution and the induced charge electroosmotic contribution (ECEO). Tables 1, 2, and 3 show the viscous friction coefficients obtained from the denominator of equation 10. These values coincide with the theoretical results reported by Tirado et al. for thin rods. We also consider other microparticles with geometry such as a cube, a prolate spheroid, and a biconcave discoid. The latter geometry corresponds to the shape of the red blood cell. The values presented in these tables agree very well with both theoretical and experimental values. Experiment. Electro-rotation results are presented for titanium metal microrods with an average size of 7 micrometers. The suspension is prepared using a potassium chloride KCl electrolyte. The metal microparticles are mixed with the potassium chloride electrolyte until an homogeneous suspension is obtained. This suspension is then injected into the device between the electrode fingers shown in Figure 8. This experiment setup was developed by Dr. Antonio Ramos' research group in Sevilla, Spain. The device is placed on a microscope slide and the electrodes are supplied with AC voltages at an angular frequency of W with a phase difference of 90 degrees. A video is then recorded, and the angular velocity of the microparticles is measured from the video. Figure 9 shows the experimental setup used in our work. The electro-rotation device was developed in collaboration with the Center for Industrial Engineering and Development, CIDESI, particularly with Dr. Alexis Cruz Zabalegui. Figure 10 shows a rotation spectrum for titanium metal particles in comparison with experimental results. The black curve represents the numerical result obtained using the theory we have developed, and good agreement with the experimental data can be observed. The discrepancy between the theoretical and experimental results might be due to the relatively large surface roughness of the metal microparticles, which is not considered in our theoretical model. In Table 4, we use the rotation spectrum of the metal particles to determine the differential capacitance of the Debye-Hückel electrical double layer using the series capacitor approximation, which consists of a compact layer and an electrical double layer. It can be observed that the experimental results present in the second column of the table agree well with our numerical results, shown in the fourth column of Table 4. A theoretical model of the electrical double layer is given by equation 12, which is consistent with equation 13, corresponding to two capacitors connected in series. From equation 13, we are able to obtain the electrical permittivity of the Stern layer. Now, let us show you the following video of one of our experiments, which shows a series of titanium spheres and rods immersed in an electrolytic potassium chloride solution. They rotate due to an AC electric field with a frequency of 20 kHz. The peak-to-peak voltage between the electrodes positioned at the corners is 8 volts, while the solution has an electrical conductivity of 15.9 millisiemens per meter. I appreciate your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions or receive your comments. Thank you so much.